Omega Movement shares our recordings with you. Enjoy.
Coming to sit on your stability ball, you want to make sure that it's at level with your knees or a little bit higher in your hips. And just take a moment to get comfortable on your ball, just testing the feet, being closer together or wider apart. Notice how when the feet are closer together, you feel less stable, and when the feet are further apart, you feel more stable. You can place your hands on your hips if you'd like, or just let them relax and start to let the hips go side to side, just rolling the hips on the ball and feeling the range of movement side to side. Try to keep a lightness in your waist as you do this, feeling length through the spine as you just explore the movement of the side body, mobilizing and warming up. Then come to forwards and back, exploring that range of movement front and back of the body, allowing the tail to tilt under and the sit bones to roll back. Be mindful of any low back issues and try again to keep a nice lightness in this movement, not sinking into the ball, but using that buoyancy. And then starting to explore rolling your hips in circles. Enjoy making nice big circles with the pelvis. Feeling your range of movement, you can increase adding the spine in as you take these circles, exploring what that full movement feels like with the legs straightening and the hips straightening, making sure that you go both ways. I'm really enjoying finding that mobility, noticing if one side feels stiffer than the other. And also getting comfortable with the ball, feeling its stability, noticing if there's areas where you feel less stable and less connected to being able to stay on the ball. Then releasing the hands down by the side, just gently reach your right arm down the ball, come to center, and then reach the left arm down the ball. And as you just take these gentle side bends, you can increase the range of the arms, lifting and starting to straighten and extend them up. But if you can, try and do this movement without letting the ball shift. So trying to keep the ball as still as possible underneath you as you take these side bends. So you're really now starting to think about that control of the movement and the core keeping you nice and stable so that you don't move this unstable surface beneath you. We want to be finding length as we're doing this exercise, so really reach both side waists, energy through from your feet. And then we start to add in the extra stretch, letting the hip go, but with control, knowing where we're moving it, taking that stretch further, but through action and support of the core. Enjoy finding this opening, seeing if you can become the shape of a banana as you go side to side. And then we begin with some little bounces. So grounding through the feet, just bouncing with the ball and just noticing as you bounce with the ball, how light you can be or how heavy you can be. Can you focus on lifting up and finding the space and the hover as you lift up rather than bouncing down into the ball and it pushing you? Could you take a little hold and a little hover as you come up on some of these bounces? Can you suspend in air like your oil in water? Take a lightness, hop up, put your hands underneath your armpits and see if as you're coming up and down you're using momentum, or can you really try and use your core to help you lift up? Finding the strength in your buttocks and in your abdominals as you hover and hold that squat before you come down and bounce up. And then just take some easy swinging bounces, swinging the arms and relaxing. We're then going to take ourselves out into a slightly more controlled exercise of lifting the knee. So find that place where your feet are nice and comfortable. Maybe sit slightly forwards on the ball and see if your feet are happier sit bone distance apart, or if you want a bit more of a challenge today, you can bring yourself a bit more onto the ball and bring the feet more hip width or wider than hip width apart. Then on an exhale, just start to lift up one foot at a time, lifting the knee slightly and seeing how that balances. Are you shifting a lot side to side, or do you feel nice and stable? You can let the hands rest on the hips so that you can feel what your hips are doing, or you can take your arms out to the side to help you with your balance if you're feeling a little unstable. Really finding that the core draws through to the center as you're just lifting knee at a time. Perhaps starting to draw little circles with the ankle to see if you can hold that balance a little bit longer as you lift the knee. Mobilizing the ankles as well as finding that balance and that stability. Then we lift one leg and we take those little ankle circles again. Just really checking in with how balanced and stable we feel on the ball. Allow the shoulders to relax, take a couple of circles and make sure that you're feeling nice and easy on the ball and nice and light. We then come to drawing ourselves into a twist. So keeping yourself nice and centered as you exhale, just let one hand draw up the thigh as you twist and rotate around. If you can, try and keep the ball as still as possible while you're doing this, just allowing the movement to happen in the upper spine and the head, and keeping the hips and the low back as still as possible as you just let the arms reach up the thigh towards the hip. If you're feeling more confident, you can start to reach the arms out wide as you take those twists, drawing a bow and arrow if you'd like, or just letting the arms be wide, to really think about targeting into that upper back area and challenging yourself a little bit more with the stability of the pelvis by having the arms a little higher. Keep growing nice and tall and long like you're a sunflower growing up towards the sun. And then we're going to add in lifting the knee and twisting towards that front knee. So as you lift the knee, you might want to then add in lifting the arms and twisting over that leg. Keep alternating sides and go at your pace. Remember that you're trying to challenge your balance, so holding still and allow yourself to fall if it feels unstable. Remember, you can come more onto the ball if you're feeling unbalanced, and you can take the feet wider apart if you need a broader base of support. We're just playing with our balance a little bit, seeing how stable we feel. And then if you feel super secure, you can try and grab your toe and take it into a yoga twist, holding onto your toe, big hamstring stretch as you take that twist, finding a nice tall, long spine, long legs, and balanced amazingly on that ball. Yay! Then taking a couple of bounces just to ease everything off and find a little bit of a release. And then we'll just find ourselves a little bit more on the ball and we'll begin to take the squat to stand. So making sure that the knees are over the ankles, feet are whatever distance is comfortable for your squats. You're just going to take 2 little bounces and try and squat and hover off the ball. Keep a little contact with the ball so that it doesn't roll away from you, but you are trying to keep off the ball. And then we add in the twists. So we squat and bounce and twist. So as you come off the ball, taking the twist, reaching to the side, and just really getting our hearts lifted a little bit more, adding in a bit more functionality to the movement with that squat and that twist. If you really feel game, you can start to lift up the foot as you're taking those twists, seeing if you can tap the toes forwards or the heel dig as you're taking your squat and taking that twist. Oh my gosh, aren't we putting in a lot? And if that just feels too much, go back to the squats, go back to the squat with the twist, and don't worry about the feet. When you're done, come back, take a moment to gather yourself on your ball. Separating the feet, and then we're going to start to exhale and walk our feet out on the ball, rolling down through the low back. Make sure that you're really placing your feet carefully when you're doing these walkouts with the ball. We really want to be working through the feet as we're doing it. So we're just walking forwards and back, rounding the ball into the low back. So we're activating the abdominals, but we're also working through the feet through this exercise. You can take the hands across the chest to take them out of the way and give them something to do. And also really focus all your energy into that low belly, pulling in and into the ball. And the feet are walking to make sure you don't slip or slide. So we're really lifting and working through the feet. Lovely simple combo exercise of footwork and abdominal work. Just keep looking straight in front of you as you're doing this exercise, rolling through the spine. We're mobilizing the low back, building strength into the low belly. You can then come out and we'll add in a twist, taking the shoulders and the chest side to side as you stay in this rounded C position with the ball supporting your low back. You can add in extending the arms forwards if you'd like into an arrow like they're pointing and shooting as you twist, or you can keep the hands at the chest if you're not feeling like you want to add in those straight arms. Making sure that the back is nice and rounded, and maybe a little squeeze of your buttocks, that's absolutely fine. As you rotate, just allow the head and the arms to stay in line with the spine, trying not to add in any shearing of the joints, but really working from the abdominals. We're really challenging the obliques with these twists. And then you're going to continue to roll on the ball, finding yourself towards a neutral spine now. So you release the hips, let the buttocks drop down. Let them release and relax, and take the hands behind the head, interlace the fingers underneath the low part of the skull. You're then going to just drop down the hips, allow them to release, coming into a squat, letting the chest relax. And then we straighten the legs and shoot back, coming into a bit of a back bend. We're just working through the whole of the back body now, waking up those glutes and hamstrings as we take these supported squats. And the upper back is in a little bit of a back bend. You can extend the arms and reach if you'd like, or you can keep the hands behind the head. And as you're rolling backwards and forwards, just let the head and the upper back be supported by the ball holding you as you're just taking these squats to straight, lying with your torso over the body. This should feel nice and it should feel supported. You don't need to extend the arms if it's not comfortable for you. You can keep those hands by the head, or you can be opening the arms and reaching them overhead. It's a full back exercise of strength and flexibility. So being mindful of any low back problems. We then bring the hands in behind the head, interlacing the fingers if you extended them. Bring the feet in a little bit so that the whole of the spine is supported now on the ball. We still want a neutral pelvis, and then as you exhale, you're just going to gently roll head and shoulders up, coming into a little abdominal exercise. Keep the buttocks nice and relaxed so that we're really working into the core, and you're really drawing the ribs down to the hips as you do this exercise. Be mindful of the chin just gently drawing towards the chest with a little double chin action to protect the neck in this exercise. And then really working into the ribs, finding the abdominals as you just enjoy doing these abdominal preps. Making sure that the buttocks and the hips are nice and relaxed. We're really targeting into the rectus abdominis and the transverse and obliques. Feel the rectus abdominis purling the ribs down towards the hips. And then gently walk the feet out. Allow the head and shoulders to be supported. Bring the arms up ahead of you, straight. Squeezing your hips nice and high. We're in a straight position, bridge, and you're just going to try and twist yourself like you're shooting an arrow from side to side. Allow the ball to roll underneath your shoulders as you take this arrow twist. We're trying to keep the hips as lifted as possible. We're not popping the belly, and we're keeping the ribs nice and soft on the front body. Trying to keep everything as square as possible below the shoulders. We're twisting in the upper body, really getting that mobility with strength in this supine position. Allow the arms just to be straight and let the shoulders do the rolling up and off the ball rather than swinging the arms around. So the arms are fixed in relation to the body. Then release the arms, release the hips, and we'll just take some pulses of the hips up and down to the sky, really working the hips and the glutes as you do this. Trying to keep as neutral a spine as possible. You really want to be squeezing and lifting from the back of the hips, driving them up, but keep those front ribs connected so your spine is still in neutral. press down through the feet and find a little connection between your inner thighs and your knees and your inner ankles. We really want to make sure that everything's nice and connected. And that pelvis could be balancing a cup of tea or something on it to keep it nice and neutral as it lifts and lowers. As we make sure that everything is in neutral, that we press down through those feet to drive the hips up, really working the whole of the back body, getting beautiful strength and length all in one. We're stabilizing the low body and countering this unstable surface under our shoulders as we're pressing and lifting to the sky. You can then add in trying to lift a heel or maybe even lift a whole foot, alternating those feet to see whether or not you can keep your hips nice and level and stable, keep everything in neutral, and just start to lift the heel or even the foot off the floor, seeing if you can keep that stability as you remove one foot. This is very challenging, so don't worry if you can't do it. And then release the hips down, allow yourself to come to the floor and come off the ball once you've taken a breather. We're then going to take our ball and we're going to roll over it on our belly. Allow yourself to have a nice big flop on the ball and just have a big relax for a moment, stretching out that back body. You can rock and roll forwards and back if that feels comfortable for you, allowing you to relax a little bit over the ball and just release any tension. As you just relax over the ball, perhaps seeing if you can come into some little hovers of the feet off the mat. And then just bring the hands out underneath the shoulders, finding them as your support. Making sure that the ball is really underneath the abdominals, but don't collapse and rely on the ball. We want to draw the navel away from the ball, and then we're going to lift the legs straight. So whatever position works for your legs, you're just going to be lifting them up, and we're working the glutes again. So we're still working that back body, oh yeah, but we're trying to keep the abs nice and lifted. Keep thinking about length in those legs and limbs, drawing them away from the body as they lift up. And then we're going to add in some challenge. You get to just lift up one hand at a time, seeing if you can keep nice and stable as you just remove one hand at a time from the floor. The feet are still lifted, so this means we're just challenging ourselves with one hand on the floor. Oh my God. Is it wobbly? Don't worry if you're falling. You've got your hands still close to the ground, and then maybe have a play and see how both hands come up. Can you be Superman or Superwoman? That's it, reaching both arms up. Can we balance on the ball? Woohoo! That's it, great work guys, as you just gently balance arms, maybe one leg, maybe two legs, maybe one arm, maybe two arms, maybe three, maybe four. Oh my God, are you flying? That's it, good. Just trying to see what happens if we take both hands off the floor and we alternate lifting one foot at a time. Can you do that? Does your body want to rock and roll on the ball or not? It's playtime. Become your superhero. Can you fly on that ball? With what leg, with what arm? Don't worry which way it goes. Just see what works for you today. And if you get tired, remember to just relax over the ball. Take a few nice deep breaths, relaxing over the ball. Easing off any tension in the back from doing your Supermans. And then we'll come back around, have a seat on the ball. And then just take the ball out so you're sitting quite far out on the edge, and then you hinge your hips back with a flat back, straightening one leg and come into a hamstring stretch. Keep the back as straight as possible and keep that leg nice and straight. You can draw the toes up towards the nose. That helps, and try and keep the hips nice and square on the ball. Changing sides, making sure we do both sides. Making sure those sit bones are rolling the ball back nice and wide. The chest is lifted and feeling that stretch in the hamstrings. We've done a lot of work. And then taking a few breaths, just a little bounce, just to release off any tension, letting the arms just take a reach up and overhead as you take those inhales and exhales. And remember, the ball is about fun, so have a bounce, have a smile, and you're done. Well done.